Welcome. My name's Dan Smith, and today I'm rejoined by Rob Talbot. Rob is the Executive Director of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation. Welcome back, Rob.
Great to be here.
Previously, you walked us through the history of the Quakerdale Foundation. We also talked about um, why the foundation exists and how you're accomplishing that mission. We've also looked in detail at providing facilities as well as awarding grants. Today, I'd like to explore growing dynamic leaders. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Leadership. Wow. That's quite a big topic these days. I think I get anywhere from 10 to maybe 20 emails or social media posts a week inviting me to check out the latest and the greatest in leadership. When it comes to working with your ministry partners, why is growing dynamic leaders such an important part of what you do with them?
Well, you know, John Maxwell is known to be the number one leadership specialist and a consultant in the world. He says everything rises and falls on leadership. And I went and got the pleasure of being certified as a trainer, speaker, coach with John Maxwell. And you know, it's just such a huge deal that if you can't first lead yourself, and I'm gonna use some of John Maxwell's terminology, but if you first can't lead yourself, you're going to have a hard time leading others. And so when we interact with executives, we find that they've got to have a good level of self-discipline for themselves. When you lead yourself, you give yourself an instruction and be able to do it. Not everybody can actually do that. And if you can't lead yourself, then it's going to be hard to get the respect of others to be able to follow and work with you. And even to engage people that want to join your heart mission. Leadership is where it all starts.
So, as you think about some of the engagements that you've had with people in leadership, without actually mentioning names per se, can you give us some situations where leadership has really helped an organization succeed, as well as how leadership can possibly drag it down or actually cause a ministry to fail?
Sure. I mean, I think as in leadership, a lot of times people think you're on your own. And leadership, truthfully, is developing a healthy team around you. They don't have to be paid. They don't have to be somebody that has a big position. But there is a quality of when you're responsible to other people. A lot of times I help folks who are just running a one-man show, but that one-man show still needs to have people around them, have a support system. Sometimes what we call them around here is masterminds, but have a group of people around you that you can go to and say, this is really going hard. Anybody else gone through that? How can I handle that? Or I've been through that, and I can share, with someone else about how it goes, how it went for me in that kind of a situation. So, the most successful leaders, in my opinion, are those who can give themselves a command and have the respect of others around them, but they also don't operate in a bubble. They don't think that they're the last word in anything, and that they're humble enough to ask for help. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's a roller coaster ride in some situations, but how we manage that roller coaster ride, are we screaming out of joy or fear on that motorcycle or on that roller coaster ride? Is it we get to decide, am I screaming from fear, or am I screaming because this is part of the ride and I'm having a good time? We get to decide that as leaders, as individuals. And sometimes people say, I'm not a leader, but we have the relationships we're in. We have family members, we have friends, and then we have oftentimes our job. And we are leaders in everything that we do. We are an example, and it all matters. So the people that I've seen oftentimes who fail in this are the opposite of that. They're they're really thinking that nobody else can help me. They don't ask for help. They don't get help. They act a lot of times like um, sometimes they think that they're the only ones who's going through this stuff, and that's because they haven't gotten the exposure to know that most leadership challenges have happened to other people before. Maybe not exactly, but rarely do we go through things that are something that somebody else hasn't struggled through. And so, those folks who don't operate in an open attitude, they kind of shut down or think that they're the only one that can make decisions, or that there's no other backup plan. That's a recipe for failure, and just one of them, but it's a big deal.
Sure, sure. With all the different opportunities that are out there for leadership, is there a particular distinctive or a particular approach about how you help people with leadership that kind of stands out, or that would help people get an idea of what to expect if they were to go through some trainings with you?
So I think a big part of helping people find success is really honing in on where they're at. So I could talk to, I've given you examples here today about challenges or successes kinds of stories, but the truth is none of that matters to you and whatever you're going through. It really gets down into learning about what's going on with the person, and helping them where they're at. And so I don't try to think that a big sweeping statement is gonna a concept taught is going to solve a problem. I really believe that when we're helping coach someone or support someone, we really need to kind of learn about where they're at, because um, we all come from different backgrounds. We've got different kinds of experiences. I can say a phrase to you and it means something to me, but it means something completely different to you. So there's a lot of listening and joining in to support people. And so when I coach people, uh, I'm here for them. What do you have? What's going on? How can I join you? How can I support you? That's the biggest part of how I go about uh, coaching.
So it sounds like personalizing it to fit the individual, who they are, what skills they bring, where they're trying to go, what type of leadership role that they're playing is really important to you to make it specific to that particular person. Then it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just an amazing thing when I listen versus just talk. And again, it's so amazing that what someone hears, we could hear the same thing, or we could witness the same thing and interpret it in different ways. And so it's not fair for me to think that the way I interpret something or I hear something is the way somebody else did. And so it's a relationship. It's not something that it's something that has to happen over time, and it takes time to build that kind of interaction.
Sure. Well, what types of opportunities or options or trainings do you offer now through the foundation for leadership growth?
Well, I think the most powerful and most important one really has to do with folks who are working in small organizations. It can be I feel very isolated. So I like to come alongside folks and help them in that, let them have a place to be heard and seen. And sometimes I don't always have the answers, but knowing somebody's in there praying for you, encouraging you, I think is very, very valuable. It's valuable for me. And so uh, I start with the executives. Usually those are the folks who've got the vision, the dream they're excited about. And what we find a lot of times is those folks have that vision, that great passion for that thing that they're called to do. But there's a lot of other skills, maybe hard skills or soft skills, that they've never had to do. You know, they've never. Sometimes people say, I don't know what a budget. How would I do a budget? What does it mean to become nonprofit versus an LLC or a, S corp or a C corp, all those types of pieces. How do I do accounting? Now I'm not going to teach them how to do all that stuff, but helping them learn the big concepts of things that they haven't maybe lived through and known, because nobody can replace the passion. And they've got to have that, but the passion isn't going to make it successful. And we know just through our recent examples of the organizations that we helped start that same starting places, different ending places, and we want to help organizations be as successful as possible.
Sure. Do you provide the opportunity for people who are not currently a part of a ministry partner with you to participate in these, or is it strictly just for people that are ministry partners?
So we're not likely to say no to too many people unless we find that there's not a very good match for the mission. If there's a reasonably good match for the mission of a leader or a board, we also help boards kind of figure out how to be boards. Being a board member is not an intuitive process. I mean, it's a learned skill. So we help people kind of figure out where they need to go and the skills that they need to have and help them establish that. But as we try to help people, we're really just matching up with where they're at. They don't have to be a grantee, but if we have a good match for helping family and children, then we're probably in a good place. See if we can meet once a week or once a month or something like that.
Sure. So if I was one of the folks that have been listening to this YouTube video or the podcast, and you thought, well, you know what, I would really like to see what that next step may be for me to get some training or take advantage of some of the opportunities through the Quakerdale Foundation, what would be my first step? How would I get started?
I think probably just sending in an email or is the easiest way. Say, hey, I'd like to talk to someone about what I'm doing, see if I could get some support in that. And then that would lead to a phone call, most likely, maybe a Zoom call, where we had just spent a little time to get to know each other.
Okay, great. Well, Rob, that's some great information. I just really appreciate you taking the time to let us know what's going on. So thank you very much.
Great.
And thank you for joining me today. If you've got any questions or if you'd like to learn more about the opportunities for growth and leadership through the Quakerdale Foundation, you can see their contact information here on the screen, or you can go to the description of the recording and you can find links there to their website as well as phone and email addresses there. So until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.